Surviving the Game as a Barbarian, Chapter 794, Skull Island 1/5. We were moving around the central part of the island without a defined objective. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Of course, we were destroying every monster that appeared on our way. The only reason I said we were aimless was because we weren't even engaging in real battles. This is boring. Yes, I'm starting to think I'd rather look at papers and documents than do that. The average level of monsters that appeared on Skull Island was 6th level, a number inflated because of a few higher level monsters that had a low chance of appearing. Most, in fact, were between the 7th and 8th level. And the monsters weren't even new. The only one who could still give us some experience was the 6th level Skull Ghost. I hope that monster you mentioned appears soon, Captain. Even Aoyan, who wasn't a combatant, was falling into the same state of despondency, so it must have been really frustrating to wander, aimlessly, like that. Where did all the fire from the previous competition go? Well, I couldn't blame them. It had been 2 days since that fateful encounter. They haven't found anything yet either, right? Probably not, I replied, trying to allay Raven's suspicion. We would know if the cave had been opened. They might have a way to hide it or something. I almost laughed and told Raven to stop with that nonsense. But, thinking about it, it was possible. I mean, they had that with them too, she insisted, and in great quantity. Ah, you're talking about that. What Raven was referring to was a numbered item. We weren't completely sure they had one, but the chances were very high. Yes, she confirmed. You agreed with me too, didn't you? If they didn't have this item, it wouldn't make sense how they managed to hide from us. Well, that was true. Detection was an auxiliary skill. Since Erwin and Amelia were more combat-oriented, I could overlook the fact that they didn't notice our opponents. However, our new member, Beleg, was an adventurer who had earned the title of Stalker. In other words, he was a pro at tracking and detecting targets. But even so, the other clan noticed us first and managed to successfully hide so many people. How did they do it? After discussing the matter with Beleg, we came to a single conclusion: it all boiled down to absurd items. And we already had an idea of what the item could be. No. 16. Ebony Insignia. When equipped, it significantly strengthened the wearer's stealth abilities. Their stats increased while in stealth, granted bonuses when ambushing targets, and more. It was practically a graduation item for assassins. The item had 2 crucial features for the current situation. If one equipped it and stood still, they would enter absolute stealth. Furthermore, upon activating its active skill, it temporarily created 29 emblems that could be distributed to others, allowing them to use the first skill as well. If they used that, it would explain how they managed to hide from us. Thinking back to that moment, I remembered how everyone had just been silently waiting for us. They only revealed their presence when we approached the cave entrance. Some of my clan members even reported seeing similar insignias on them. But to hide 90 people like that, they would need 3 of those items. Even so, if this hypothesis were true, it raised even more questions. It wasn't even a question of how they had obtained something so precious, but about the nature and character of this golden phantom who had managed to obtain 3 of these badges. No matter how I looked at it, his intentions couldn't be. At that moment, Beleg stopped moving and whispered in my ear. Viscount Yandel, I told you to call me Captain. He hesitated, accepting the correction. Someone is approaching. How many? 6. I didn't even need to ask who they were. It was probably one of the subdivisions of the Golden Tree clan. If we keep moving forward, we will find them. Still, I was surprised by the situation. We hadn't interacted with them in the last 2 days. Even though our routes converged, both groups always noticed each other's presence from a distance and moved away. It seems they have some business with us. Let's wait here for them, I decided. As we waited, a group of adventurers wearing the Golden Tree clan insignia emerged from the twisted bushes, as expected on Skull Island. Yandel, Abman. A completely unexpected encounter. Although we had exchanged glances from afar during our previous encounter, this was not the time for conversation. Either way, I couldn't help but laugh lightly when I realized what was happening. Judging by the shock on his face, it didn't seem like he had come looking for me on purpose. It looks like you got lost. No way. We were just moving. He was clearly the beater of the group, considering his skills. Mr. Bear was a hitter, but he had a tendency to get lost, and he lacked the basic detection skills that most hitters had. He was so bad at it that back in the Narek Apple group days I even took tracking lessons from Rottmiller, even though he had a scout available on the team. Still, thinking back now, it was lucky I learned from him back then. Again, one of Abman's team members sighed. But unlike the affectionate sighs we had let out during our time in the Apple Narek group, this one carried a different tone. Weren't you listening? The captain told us to avoid contact if possible. Did you do this on purpose? Just to meet an old friend and chat? And no, that's not it. I would never do something like that. That's just a coincidence. A coincidence. Coincidence, my ass. You just don't have the skills for it. The atmosphere became tense at the same time. Even with this brief exchange, it was already possible to sense a bit of the dynamic between Abman and his team. Perhaps noticing the same thing, Abman looked at us with an uncomfortable look. He looked like someone who had just had a secret exposed, something he wanted to keep hidden. Unfortunately, that really did seem to be the case. No one wanted their friends or family to see them being reprimanded by their superiors, and what was happening here was probably far from everything he went through on a daily basis. Even he had a habit of holding back when we were in front of others. It was an old truth. The most brutal and humiliating actions always happened far from the eyes of others. In any case, my apologies, Lord Viscount. We are not here to interfere. As you can see, the fault is not ours, but this man's. I'm not going to blame anyone, so don't worry. I'm relieved to hear that. Do you understand? Let's go. I wanted to talk to Mr. Bear more, but that was as far as we could go under the circumstances. Even though I knew I could force a conversation if I demanded it, I recognized that it wouldn't be good for him. He could be accused of treason if he gave us any information. Above all, it seemed that Mr. Bear himself wanted to get out of that situation as quickly as possible. However, just as I was about to let them go, how did a loser like that end up on our team? A taunt said too loudly to be considered and, under the breath, comment caught my attention. Open black lens bracket Misha Karlstein has released Glacial Soul, close black lens bracket. With a single sword slash, a wall of ice rose up in front of those trying to leave. What did you just say? Misha was agitated. The cold winds created by the ice wall brushed against my skin. Although her impulsive action was unexpected, for now, it was fine. She hadn't taken a completely hostile stance against them yet. The problem was that it couldn't escalate any further than it already had. Viscount Yandel, the man who appeared to be the leader of the group, called, ignoring Misha. Can I take this as a violation of our agreement? I felt a deep hostile energy emanating from the team captain, but to be honest, I was more surprised than anything else by this turn of events. After all, he wasn't even the captain of the clan, just the leader of a team. I took a step forward to answer, but Misha interrupted me again. Whatever, you there, goblin head, answer me. What did you call Abman? What was it? Did you swallow your tongue? Despite listening to Misha, the man did not even look in her direction. Her breathing became heavier. The hand holding the sword trembled. She was absolutely furious. It had been a long time since I had seen her this angry. Reply. His pronunciation became clearer, perhaps because the tone of his voice had lowered. Only then did the team captain respond, equally irritated. All this because I called you a loser. You've got to be kidding. So that was it. Take it back while I'm still asking politely. To be honest, I don't know what authority you think you have to tell me to take back what I say. What? I mean, I know you were on the same team as Fried in the past. However, he is now a member of our clan. You have no right to meddle in our internal affairs. Oh, so it's okay if he's not a member of your clan. Abman, come here. Leave this clan now and Misha, it wasn't me, nor the team captain, who interrupted her, but Mr. Bear himself. Misha seemed shocked by the harshness in his voice. Why? Her eyes seemed to ask, I was just trying to help you, so why did you interrupt me like that? Mr. Bear did not answer. Instead, the team captain did. You consider yourself his precious ally and you don't even know why. Fried borrowed money from our clan. He had no choice, since his shop wasn't doing well and the labyrinth was closed for a year. How much? We can pay. It doesn't matter whether they can pay it back or not. The condition of the loan was that he would go on a specific number of expeditions with us. This is the first one, and he still has 23 more to go. So, is that why they bully him? Because he can't leave even if he wants to. I really have no idea what's. Stop right there, I said. Misha still had a lot to say, but I cut her off with a look. I have no intention of interfering in your business, much less of breaking an agreement. Let's end this here, I think. As I took a step back, the team captain lowered his head to me, and the interaction ended there. However, Misha still couldn't swallow it. Why did you do that? She demanded, before they left. Amelia, who was beside her, tried to stop her, but I grabbed her arm. I knew Misha wouldn't attack them this time. I don't know what you're talking about, replied the captain. Why are you like this? You are part of the same team, you are allies, so why do you harass and humiliate him like this? Is this something fun for you? The captain seemed taken aback by the genuine question, but his eyes soon filled with irritation. How beautiful. You live in a completely different world from ours. What, if you'll excuse me? With that, they disappeared into the vegetation and hid their presence. Misha bit her lips, still visibly overcome with anger. Bjorn, don't worry, I have a plan. Seriously, it wasn't a plan I originally had. Just something I thought of on the spot. Winning the competition against the Golden Tree clan and monopolizing the Skull Island event. If that was the main quest, then I guess I just got a side quest. Even if Mr. Bear himself didn't want to. If the guild master leaves, that creates a vacancy, doesn't it? I couldn't just stand there after seeing that. Surviving the game as a barbarian. Chapter 795. Skull Island 2/5. The hidden secret of Skull Island was very simple. While exploring the map hunting monsters, eventually, at an extremely rare rate, one would encounter a monster called the Key Bearer. Although it was a type of sub-boss, it wasn't that strong, only a 4th-tier monster, although if we considered just its attack power, it was closer to a strong 5th tier. In any case, if he hunted this monster after casting distortion magic on it, he could obtain its key and use it to enter the cave in the center of the island. And if you continued advancing to the innermost part, the boss room would appear. Within the inner chamber was what was recognized as the boss of Skull Island, and it was a considerable challenge. Despite being only a 3rd-tier monster, only one team could enter the boss room at a time, making it impossible to raid the place with a full expedition force. The attack patterns are also complicated. In my early days on Ghostbusters, I sold information about Skull Island, specifically the strategy for defeating this boss. I wonder, did that user manage to kill him? I don't remember seeing her name in any of the Ghostbusters posts or comments, not even until the day the forum was closed. Well, not that I cared. Mr. Yandel, are you sure this will work? What are you talking about? This situation. You were so sure that we would enter the cave before them, but we didn't see even a trace of that key. Yes, it was true that not having encountered the monster even once in those 2 days was frustrating. Still, I simply replied, "Just wait. We'll be the first ones in." I hadn't planned on following the standard path of this quest anyway. How could 12 people compete with a group of 90 when the goal was to find something on such a vast island? No, my confidence came from something else, a method of ensuring I'd obtain the key. Ah, there it is. Luck really wasn't on my side. We'd been searching the island for 2 days, and only now had we found it. Honestly, I was starting to get worried about how long it had taken to show up. Fortunately, as bad as my luck was, theirs seemed to be even worse. The cave door hadn't opened yet. I walked, hearing the cracking and crunching of bone fragments beneath my feet. It was one of the characteristics of Skull Island. The floor was made of bones. Bones of people, monsters, and anything else that was available. But most important of all was a very special skull. Just like this one. I approached the bone, staring at something that honestly looked more like a boulder than a skull. However, since bones of that size were common on the island, what I was looking at didn't stand out that much from the others. 2 horns and a square jaw. After confirming the characteristics, I raised my hammer. It was then that Raven decided to speak. "That skull, wouldn't it be a key bearer?" "Huh?" I asked, a little taken aback. "It doesn't seem like it." "It does look like it. I even have an anatomical diagram of it. Why the hell do you have that with you?" I did a little research after I heard we might be coming to Skull Island. "Anyway, look, doesn't it match perfectly?" It was a perfect match. Maybe it was left by other adventurers who killed it after casting distortion magic. She suggested. Unlike the other floors, the Great Ocean doesn't return to its original state every time the labyrinth closes and opens, right? That made sense. The 6th floor wasn't reset, but if it was, there should be several of these skulls scattered around the island. So why was there always only one? As an adventurer who lived and breathed this world, my curiosity was piqued. That doesn't matter to me. However, true to my own adventurous nature, I put that curiosity aside to move forward. Players don't need to understand the phenomena, they just need to use them, and that's exactly what I would do now. Only one thing mattered. Crack. When a skull with a specific shape was destroyed in the center of Skull Island, the key was always obtained. "Beleg, go to the cave," I ordered. After grabbing the key, we quickly moved towards the center of the island. Along the way, I noticed Raven looking at me out of the corner of her eye, noticing my mischievous smile. "What's wrong? Why are you so excited?" she asked. "Nothing else. What face would the golden ghost make when he saw me appear with the key in my hand?" When we reached the cave entrance, it was empty except for a single group that seemed to be on guard. They looked at us with their heads tilted as we approached, but their eyes soon widened when they realized we were heading straight for the entrance. Did you get the key?" "Yes," I replied as if it were obvious. "Get out of the way." Please wait. Could you wait just a moment?" I continued walking as if I was about to use the key and enter the cave, and the makeshift guards desperately tried to stop me. I had already expected something like this, but to appear surprised, I frowned. "Why should I wait? From the looks of it, you guys haven't gotten the key yet." "I did. So, we have the right to challenge the cave first. That was the deal, right?" "Why yes, that's right. You're right. But, just a moment. Just a moment would be enough, so could you speak to our captain first?" I'll give you 10 minutes. What's it like? 10 minutes. Why? Is there a problem? No, not at all. Thank you very much for that." One of the guards immediately ran over. Not long after, the golden ghost appeared, apparently already knowing what had happened. It took about 8 minutes for him to arrive. It seems he was already nearby. Instead of hunting, He was just giving orders to others. Well, it wasn't my place to tell a captain how to command his subordinates, but I preferred to work side by side with my team in the field. The Golden Ghost sighed. I've already been informed about the situation. I appreciate you waiting. So, did you get the key? Yes. Are you thinking of stopping me? He waved his hands, quickly denying my accusation. No, of course not. I simply wanted the opportunity to discuss a deal with you, Lord Viscount. Again, I thank you for granting me this chance. What a funny guy. I hadn't even said I would accept his proposal, and he was already thanking me. Whatever, just say it now, I replied bluntly. Time is running out, and as you know, time is money in the labyrinth. Yes, so I'll be direct. How much do you want? Are you asking me to sell the key? No, we got the key 30 minutes ago, so we don't need it. We just want to have the opportunity to challenge the cave first. Of course, if we fail, you guys will have your turn. Was it because his nickname was Golden Ghost? He was pretty quick to talk about money once his plan went wrong. You say that, but we both know that whoever challenges first will win, I argued. And that's why I'm asking how much you want. And why are you asking me to tell you the amount? Because we need your. Would you give me 10 billion stones if I asked? He was silent. Yeah, there's nothing to say to that. Just tell me the maximum amount you can offer. Then I'll think about it, I continued. And don't try to increase it little by little to see if you can convince me. I hate wasting time. Slowly, he offered. How about 400 million stones? The boss's essence alone is worth 500 million. But there is no guarantee that the essence will appear. Fair enough. I wouldn't accept the deal if I were in his shoes either. If the boss didn't bring down the essence, it would be a complete loss. But it seems like that's the maximum value he can offer. As we talked, I noticed that the members of the Golden Tree clan had slowly begun to gather. He had probably notified them. So, what are you going to do? I pretended to be considering my options before answering. I accept the deal. Oh, that was a wise decision. However, you also need to hand over Abman Urikfried to us. There was an almost imperceptible change in the Golden Ghost's expression. His smile was still there, but his teeth gleamed like those of a hunter who had found his prey. I know you two used to be close partners, it seems like you still are to this day. People you can trust in the labyrinth are valuable. Haha, that's true. And your answer? I refuse. As you said, trustworthy people are valuable in the labyrinth. Trust. With the way he was letting Lord Bear be treated within his own clan. I wanted to punch that smiling face, but my modern mindset could barely contain my frustration. And the Golden Ghost was not finished yet. And even rarer, is finding someone as willing to sacrifice themselves for the organization as Mr. Urikfried. Bastard. That was a threat, wasn't it? Was he saying he would throw Mr. Bear into dangerous missions and treat him like a dog? I took a deep breath, holding on to my inhuman patience once more. All right, keep the money then. Just hand over Abman, and we'll give up on the cave. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid that's impossible too. I was paralyzed. What? Considering the amount Mr. Urikfried owes us, it wouldn't be a fair trade for us. What? 400 million wasn't enough. How much the hell did he owe? Then we can pay the difference. No, we will not break our contract with Mr. Urikfried. When I didn't respond, he added. You may enter first, Lord Viscount. The Golden Ghost didn't seem bothered by the negotiation. In fact, he seemed excited about the development of the situation as he turned around. I couldn't help but grit my teeth when I saw that scene. Although we had accomplished the main quest of opening the cave before the Golden Tree clan, we failed the side quest of getting Mr. Bear out of their hands. The entrance to the cave was a giant skull. It reminds me of those dinosaur theme parks. We entered through the open jaw of the skull and found a single steel door with a keyhole. Grog. As he inserted the key and turned it clockwise, a terrifying and menacing roar of a beast echoed throughout the island. "What are you waiting for? Aren't you going to come in?" I turned my head and met the gaze of the golden ghost, who was watching us as we studied the entrance. Is he smiling? What an annoying guy. And the worst part was that I had no idea what he was thinking. "Mr. Yandel," I sighed, knowing we needed to focus on the main mission. "Okay, I get it, so stop rushing me." I pushed away the uncomfortable feeling and entered the cave. The entrance closed behind us with a deafening crash. Surviving the game as a barbarian. Chapter 796. Skull Island 3/5. The moment the door in the cave closed and we were cut off from the outside world, the torches lining the walls began to light up one by one, tracing a path in the darkness. Even so, the cavernous space was not fully illuminated, as the path 10 meters in front of us was still shrouded in darkness. "Liet," Raven released an orb of light into the darkness before exclaiming, "Oh. So it really doesn't light up." From the fact that my mana is still stable, I guess the spell wasn't interrupted either. She seemed interested in the mechanics behind the darkness, but I wasn't particularly drawn to it. I wasn't a scholar, more a player. The idea of trying to figure out why a field worked a certain way seemed, to be honest, amusing. Open black lens bracket. You have entered a special area. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Field effect. Catacomb has been applied. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Wound aggravation high has been applied. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. While within the designated area, a random attribute will decrease by 1 whenever you kill a monster. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Countdown has been removed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Only the light of the dead can defeat the darkness. Close black lens bracket. Light spells or torches were useless against the darkness inside the cave. The light of the dead keywords had already prompted me to try using dark magic or similar items there, but they all failed. The only things that allowed us to see were the torches already fixed to the walls. Not all of them were lit along the way, but that wasn't a problem. After all, the monsters soon began to appear. "Oh, you're wearing a skull. Wait." I quickly stopped Einar, who tried to run towards the first monster he saw. "Hold on." What's wrong, Bjorn? "Adness will defeat all monsters that appear from now on." Einar looked confused, but the guild master immediately understood and smiled. "So you're setting me up as the sacrifice." "What sacrifice? You won't die for it," I replied. "Understood. I will gladly sacrifice myself for the group." We both knew what was going on here. Was he talking about sacrifice, just to emphasize the credit he should get? Adness drew his sword. A sword, but wasn't he an archer? I ignored the question. He also used a bow, but it was actually a hybrid. His skill set was not tied to a single weapon. With that, the guild master killed 4 monsters with a single strike as they emerged from the darkness. Nothing too surprising, since the monsters that appeared in that stage were approximately 7th level. The real challenge was not the fight itself, but the price of victory. Open black lens bracket. Ilya Adness's natural regeneration decreased by 1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Ilya Adness's strength decreased by 1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Ilya Adness's flexibility decreased by 1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Ilya Adness's fire resistance decreased by close black lens bracket. The more monsters one killed there, the more their stats would decrease. However, that didn't mean we could just ignore them and move on. Whoosh. Oh, the flame over there got bigger. Catacomb was created in such a way that we could only progress if we kept killing monsters. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely feeling that weight, Adness gasped. I had to lose strength right at the beginning. What do you mean? This time, it was Raven who answered Einar. Whenever you kill a monster here, a random specific skill is reduced. Specific skill. What do you mean? Things acquired through essences and Gabrielius's achievements. Strength, agility, resistances, that kind of thing. Huh, they get smaller. Einar shouted, a look of disgust on his face. He was probably imagining how he had almost run towards the monsters as soon as they appeared. The guild master let out a bitter laugh. Still, someone has to sacrifice themselves. I respect you, Adnus. Accepting something like that for the team. You are a reliable warrior. Haha, thanks. To me, it all seemed like a theater. Sacrifice. The attribute reduction isn't even permanent. The penalties he accumulated would be removed once we left that place. Still, it wasn't as if the experience was pleasant. You may be fine now, but prepare yourself. Mentally. From the accounts of people who have been here, they all said they experienced something they never want to experience again. Well, losing your abilities and becoming just like a common citizen would be quite a shock. Yes, although, as a mage, I don't know what that feeling is like. After hearing the conversation, Misha interjected with a question. Then shouldn't we let the mages kill the monsters? I heard that mages have reduced mana, Raven explained, looking away. So wizards know what this is like too, huh? Raven didn't respond to Misha's logical point. How rare. Misha had surpassed Raven in logic and left her speechless. While it was a fun scene in a way, as captain, I couldn't just stand by and let everyone waste time. Enough talk. Let's continue, I said, cutting the subject short so we could continue with the expedition. Open black lens bracket Ilya Adnus's fire resistance decreased by 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Ilya Adnus's aggression decreased by 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Ilya Adnus's soul power decreased by 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Ilya Adnus's soul power has decreased by close black lens bracket. As we progressed and the guild master killed more and more monsters, he looked visibly more dejected. Unlike before, when he could kill 4 monsters with a single blow, now he had to put in much more effort to defeat them. There was a reason I didn't let Aoyan share the task with him. A certain base level of attributes was required for this strategy. Bjorn, how about we help him a little? Einar suggested. He seems to be in pain. Can't we help him and let him deliver the final blow? I nodded firmly. Just watch. Eliminating all variables was the best approach. If we tried to help him land the final blow and missed, we'd lose almost half the reason we were doing this. Even though it was difficult for him, continuing as we were was what was best for the guild master. Good job, I told him, panting. Let's keep going. This way. I needed to choose the right path to reduce our travel time, as Catacomba was not a linear cave. It was a maze, like the Crystal Cave, but unlike the first floor, if we got lost there, we would lose too many attributes and fail the boss battle. Not that it mattered much to a large expeditionary force that could afford many sacrifices. There's a door over there. Oh, so we're done. Who's that guy in front? Eventually, our exploration led us to the entrance to the boss room. Quickly, I did the math in my head. 317, that was the number of monsters the guild master had killed on the way here. Very well, since we've passed 300, we've completed one of the conditions. Without wasting any time, we began our battle against the gatekeeper. The sub-boss battle was quite inconvenient. If we just wanted to kill him, we could have simply had Erwin fire a fully charged arrow, but that would cause problems later on in the next stage. Adnus, kill him now. I'm trying, but I've already accumulated too many curses. I know, but hurry up. We took care to whittle the boss down to just a sliver of HP before holding him in place so the guild master could deliver the finishing blow. Open black lens bracket. You have defeated the Tomb Guardian, Aladdin. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket bonus for killing an elite boss. EXP plus 1 close black lens bracket. The guild master managed to land the final blow, and the sub-boss disappeared in a beam of light. This also completed a hidden secret. Open black lens bracket. The Cursed One has defeated the Tomb Guardian. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The curse of the vengeful spirit will not spread. Close black lens bracket. Typically, defeating the Tomb Guardian would cause the most cursed characters' debuff to spread to everyone else. So the formal method of clearing was to make sure everyone killed an equal number of monsters so that the curse would be evenly distributed after the sub-boss was eliminated. This, in fact, was the strategy I myself had sold in the past. That woman didn't even know about the existence of the hidden boss. There was no point in telling her that if we stacked all the debuffs on a single person, making them the Cursed One, and then had them defeat the sub-boss, the curse wouldn't spread. I don't see any essence. What a shame, Raven replied sullenly. Not so much. It was a garbage essence, anyway. Still, it must be worth something, considering its rarity. It also has research value. Right, I remembered she was interested in that sort of thing. Whatever, let's just go in. After defeating the gatekeeper, we open the door and enter the room beyond it. Is there nothing here? That's because we have 12 people. The design of the cave as a whole was similar to that of the island, with walls, ceiling, and floor made of skulls. Even the torches attached to the walls were skulls burning with internal fire. This terrain feature also extended to the interior of the boss room. The only peculiarity was that, on the wall opposite ours, there was the skull of a monster much larger than the one we had seen at the entrance to the cave. Oh, Raven, what monster is that over there? It looks very strong. Well, I don't know. There shouldn't be many monsters that size in the labyrinth, maybe it's not even a monster. I wanted to fight one in the future. What a shame. We moved slowly forward, in formation, across the vast open area. Erwin, start. Yes. At my command, Erwin closed her eyes and began to concentrate. I kept my gaze fixed on her as I did so. Open black lens bracket. A mysterious energy manifests after all resources are exhausted. Close black lens bracket. Now, everyone, get out. I shouted the order as soon as Chaos Circuit was activated. Everyone except those I had warned beforehand quickly left the boss's room. Only Amelia, Einar, Misha, Erwin, the guild master, and I would remain to fight this time. Instead of choosing the strongest ones, I selected the members I wanted to get the achievement. After all, this wouldn't even be a real fight. As soon as the other members left the room, the door slammed shut, and the entire area began to shake as if it was hit by an earthquake. Grah! The howl we heard when we entered the cave roared once more. Then, an intimidating-looking boss emerged from the skulls on the ground, with a cracking sound, and stood up. And so he did. Open black lens bracket. Erwin Fornaci di Tergia has cast concentrated fire. Close black lens bracket. Grah! Oh. 3 stages were skipped instantly. The official strategy to defeat the Skull King was quite complicated. As the battle progressed, the gauge of the soul gem he carried to indicate his health continuously decreased. When his health dropped to 80%, he would cast an AoE curse. At 60%, he summoned servants. At 40%, it activated an instant kill skill. And when his health reached 20%, he would become momentarily invulnerable before recovering and gaining an even stronger buff. Open black lens bracket. Skull King's soul reserves are below 20%. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Skull King has cast Absorb Soul. Close black lens bracket. However, we skipped the first 3 stages and went straight to the 4th. Fortunately, the 4th phase wasn't that difficult either. In his infinite mana state, Erwin could do more than just concentrated fire. Open black lens bracket. Erwin Fornaci di Tergia has summoned the elemental ruler of darkness, Diklo. Close black lens bracket. Boom. Bang. As Erwin continued to pour out his firepower, The Skull King's soul gem was depleted faster than he could recharge it. Open black lens bracket. The Skull King has absorbed all the souls. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. All authorities held by the Skull King have been significantly reduced. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Skull King's soul reserves are below 20%. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. There are no souls to absorb. Close black lens bracket. As soon as absorbed soul ended, his health immediately dropped below 20%, and we entered the final phase. Open black lens bracket. The Skull King has cast Eternal Freedom. Close black lens bracket. Next came his Berserk mode, something every boss should have. The strategy to deal with it was simple. Open black lens bracket. The Skull King is now immune to all damage. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Skull King's soul gem reserves are rapidly decreasing. Close black lens bracket. We just had to survive, and I was an expert at that. Open black lens bracket. The Skull King's soul gem is almost empty. Close black lens bracket. After raging for about a minute, the Skull King suddenly stopped. Although we hadn't killed it yet, the fight was practically over. Even an ordinary person could simply approach the motionless monster and burst the soul gem in its body. About 2 minutes since summoning. Then Phase 4 regeneration and Berserk mode lasted a minute each. Good work, Erwin. And as planned, Adnus, you will deliver the final blow. Understood. The guild master then approached the paralyzed Skull King and destroyed the soul gem, ending the fight. Open black lens bracket. You defeated the Skull King. EXP plus 7. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Bonus for killing an elite boss. EXP plus 1. Close black lens bracket. Unfortunately, he didn't drop an essence, but I didn't care. The main course was yet to come. Open black lens bracket. The Cursed One has defeated the Skull King. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A part of the ancient story has been completed. Close black lens bracket. As the Skull King's bone fragments dissipated into beams of light, the entire space began to tremble once again. Ah! What is this? Aren't we done here? Unintentionally, I smiled. Congratulations, Einar. Huh, what do you mean? Instead of answering, I pointed to the giant monster skull decorating the back wall. Didn't you say you wanted to fight one? It was time to defeat the secret boss. Surviving the game as a barbarian. Chapter 797. Skull Island 4/5. The Skull King wasn't a boss that appeared every time the labyrinth opened. The usual rate was about once every 7 attempts, and when it did appear, the cave entrance would simply remain open. This was for the player's convenience. If it wasn't like this, people would be farming the key every time and entering the boss room only to find it empty. The earthquake stopped. The tremors that had arisen after the Skull King died soon ceased. This meant that the path to the next chapter had opened. After all, in order to fight the secret boss, it was necessary for the Cursed One to kill both the Tomb Guardian and the Skull King. The entrance to the boss room opened again, and our allies, who were waiting outside, entered. Is it over yet? It hasn't even been 3 minutes. They couldn't hide their shock. To be fair, the Skull King was a rather infamous boss. Few parties could kill a third-tier monster with just 6 people, as it would require all members to be third-tier adventurers or higher. Although that was the case before the companion spell was improved, it was much easier now. But it seems that an essence did not appear. As you can see. And the chest? Not yet. Let's look for it now. Searching together was the most efficient course of action. Treasures were the greatest incentive for adventurers, so before we moved on to the next chapter, my allies and I teamed up to find the treasure chest, which was itself a hidden secret. Only after defeating the boss could we begin searching the area for it. Arg, why can't they just give us the treasure? Why does it have to be hidden? All because of Gabrielius's conquests. Only those who are destined to find him can find him. This Gabrielius guy must be a weirdo. Still, this is quite a famous achievement of his. Anyone who tries to defeat the Skull King would know about it. The Golden Tree clan out there would probably. Oh, I found it. I found it. Already. I gave Einar a doubtful look, only to find that it was indeed the treasure chest. She's pretty good at it. Einar was honestly a very lucky person, the kind who could live a decent life without even having to try. Another example would be Sven Periv, the man with the secret title of Golden Goblin. Still, there was something unsettling about this particular kind of luck. It was as if his luck always landed him in a desperate situation. Kisses. Can I open it? No. I'm going to open it. Give me permission. Of course. I replied with a smile, nodding in approval. Einar grabbed the padlock. No. I think it's a bone lock. Anyway, she punched the padlock that locked the chest made of bones. Slowly, she opened the chest. Compared to the enormous size of the chest, the contents inside were tiny. Raven pushed Einar aside and picked up the item to examine it more closely. That's quite valuable. It seems like the Golden Ghost will be quite angry if he hears about it. Aruru, what is this? Isn't it just a letter? Ah, it's a talisman-type item. Items like this were categorized as charms in the game. They were in the same category as number 9999, Einar's Beginner's Luck and No. 1001, Alonso's Traveling Bag, which I had given to Aoyan. Oh, so this is also a numbered item. Yes, that's right. No. 444, Didrius's Invitation. A 3-digit numbered item. Amazing. But what is it for? Einar looked at the wax-sealed letter and tilted her head, curious that it was a numbered item, but completely ignorant of its possible uses. He couldn't exactly blame her. It was nearly impossible to figure out the ability granted by a talisman just by its appearance. If you carry this with you, you won't be attacked by undead monsters, Raven explained. Okay, and that's all. Didn't you say it was valuable? I think the bag our navigator has looks better than this. Even Misha seemed disappointed with the item's effect. Well, each to their own. To truly understand the value of that single line of text, it was necessary to use it first. It is valuable. Unlike Alonso's traveling bag, this talisman's effects are absolute. If you have it with you, you will never be attacked. Even if you attack first. For example, one of the rifts on the 8th floor was called the Necropolis. Approximately 99% of the monsters there were undead, so if an attacker equipped this item, they had the potential to clear the rift alone. Not to mention the few first-level undead monsters that existed around there. Really, what an interesting item. Can I take a look? Yes, but never remove the seal from the letter. What happens if you remove it? You die. Eek. Raven's short but impactful explanation made Misha quickly drop the invitation letter. I laughed at the interaction. Honestly, she always only knows half the information. Strictly speaking, it wasn't a guaranteed death. If you opened this in the labyrinth, you would be dragged into a hidden field called Hell. The problem was that the difficulty there was so high that it was practically impossible to return alive. No matter how strong the character was, they wouldn't be able to return if they opened the letter. Unless you opened it in a specific location, of course. So who should carry this? That was a good question. One thing was for sure, it wasn't an item I should be holding. The tank's role in the labyrinth was to take the hits, so I shouldn't even go near items like that. I thought for a moment and made my decision. Emily Rains, you should have this. Amelia was the best choice, in my opinion. The level of trust I had in her was on another level. I would always be a little anxious if I gave the item to anyone else, but I could trust that she would never break the seal and would carry it with due care. Anyway, we got another valuable item. A 3-digit numbered item before our main course. Our prediction was good, or was it bad? Bad things always followed good events. Ignoring a lucky streak would be too naive, considering everything I've been through. I must check them, at least once. I decided out loud. Check. Who? The Golden Tree Clan. Wouldn't they have left by now? They must have known we wouldn't fail. I agreed with her on that point, but we might need to wait a bit before facing that guy. There is. Let's go out and take one last look at them before we go back to fight. The next chapter after the Skull King was not accessed through a portal, nor through a closed door like the cave entrance. It simply sat there, ready to be taken. If we wanted, we could follow ourselves inside. We're coming back. I didn't ignore the unsettling feeling that crept up my spine and marched back out of the cave. They are not here. When we arrived, the cave entrance was completely deserted. What do you want to do now? There were two possibilities. Either they really left without thinking twice, or they are hiding their presence on purpose and waiting for us. If it were the second case, then there were two possible scenarios. First, they knew about the secret boss and were targeting him, just like us. Second, they didn't know, but they were waiting for us to finish, just in case, assuming that my presence might indicate that there was some secret to be revealed. Or maybe none of this was relevant and they had simply turned into looters looking to take our possessions. But honestly, that possibility was pretty much zero. Even if they managed to kill us, how would they keep everyone quiet, considering they had so many members? Secrets would eventually leak out, and the Golden Ghost would never be able to deal with the consequences. If it really bothers you, we can also go out and check the coast. If they used a boat to leave the island, they wouldn't be able to cover all their tracks, Amelia suggested. I just shook my head. That wouldn't give us any certainty. False trails could be created, and if they were truly determined to hide, we didn't have the skills to detect them with our current capabilities. Let's go back. I took a step into the cave again, but before I did I added. Maroni, Raven, use detection magic on the path so we'll be notified immediately if anyone enters. Will this work? Their stealth skills seemed pretty good. It will work. Those stealth skills are all thanks to their equipment. If it were a stealth expert using that equipment, it would be a different story. But if everyone wanted to enter the cave, they would end up being discovered. After all, the condition for absolute stealth was to remain still. It's done. How long can it be kept? At least 12 hours, easily. The downside is that they'll be able to detect that we've cast the spells. Good to know. Still, he said, it doesn't matter. We should be able to detect it if they deactivate it. That is true. Okay. Let's go quickly. I led the members into the cave, but not to the boss room. Instead, we followed the paths near the entrance. It's easy to move around with all the lights on. Those damn monsters are gone too. But when will the curse on me disappear? From what I heard, it should be removed after we defeat the Skull King. Does that have anything to do with what we're looking for now? I'll tell you later. We continued wandering along the path in the initial section of the cave until we came to a dead end. Is it here? I didn't answer Raven's question. I just turned to look back. It was a long, straight and empty road. Okay, that should be enough. Wait here just a little longer, I ordered. A special condition must be met for the hidden path to appear. I approached the wall of the dead end. Then, I made sure to look like I was looking for something while touching the wall. After all, this wasn't really the entrance. Silently, I handed Raven a note, written secretly behind my shield on the way here. After reading it, she gave me a subtle nod and tucked the paper into her pocket. Her expression changed to one of mild exasperation and resignation. So I need to do this to open it. Understood. I'll prepare it right now. From her immediate response time, I could tell that Raven understood what I wanted to do. That's why working with veterans is great. With the time we spend together, we can communicate without having to say everything out loud. Raven, what are you doing? Mr. Yandel asked for a specific spell. Oh, which one? It's a secret. If I tell you, you'll go around telling everyone. What are you saying? I'm an honorable warrior who knows how to keep her mouth shut. If you're really curious, I'll tell you later. But it's not like you care that much, right? That's true. It looks like this is going to take a while, so I'm going to go get some dried meat. I made sure to ask Maroni about the status of the detection magic while touching the wall. While everyone waited, Raven finished drawing the magic circle. It's ready. Her spell was ready. Okay. Then let's go. As soon as I gave her the signal, Raven poured mana into the magic circle. Light shone around it and my vision changed. The spell I asked her to cast wasn't to find the secret door or anything like that. Open black lens bracket Arua. Raven cast the 4th tier spatial spell, Mass Teleport. Close black lens bracket. Mass teleportation. Specifically, teleporting us back to the crossroads that led to the long hallway we were in now. The reason was simple. I was sure, even though we couldn't see it with our eyes yet. Bahallah, there was definitely some bastard following us. Open black lens bracket. You have cast Transcendence. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You have cast Gigantification. Close black lens bracket. Immediately after teleporting, I enlarged my body until it filled the entire corridor. The space became so cramped that it was difficult to even walk, but that also meant that no one would be able to get past me. Boom, boom. I pushed my shield forward until it filled the entire path and ran towards the dead end. Even so, I didn't feel anything notable. Is there really no one here? I questioned my decision, even wondering if I was doing something pointless again. But in the end, it didn't matter. Being smart enough to catch a mouse was nice, but I'd rather be foolish if it meant there were no mice to catch. Boom, boom. And so, regardless of what my shield didn't encounter, I continued to advance. Boom, boom. The moment I reached the wall at the end of the path, however, a smile appeared on my face. Boom. It wasn't the sound I heard. Crunch. The sound of something being crushed. Yeah, I knew it. I got you, you bastard. Surviving the game as a barbarian. Chapter 798. Skull Island 5/5. When I was young, I once caught a bug with my fingers. After pressing my palm against the wall where the bug was, I twisted my hand to crush it, and then immediately ran to the bathroom to flush it down the toilet before washing my hands. As I got older, I realized that doing this with my bare hands was a bit gross, so I switched to using wipes to kill bugs. However, the method itself never changed, and now, in my adult life, I was using a shield. I pressed to crush. So I hoped to pop the bug. The important part here was to do the twisting procedure correctly. If done wrong, the insect could escape. As I slowly moved the shield away from the wall, a half-crushed woman fell to the ground. Looks like she didn't die from it, thankfully, I muttered, looking down. Raven ran up to me. But she'll die at this rate. Well, there was no reason to waste money using a potion on her. Stop, I shouted, calling the only person associated with religion in our clan. Come here and cast a healing spell. Knowing she might run away the moment she was healed, I made sure to tie her up completely. We removed all of her gear, tied her arms and feet, and laid her on her stomach. I finished the preparations by pressing my foot against her back to apply some pressure. It wasn't exactly a good image, but who cared? Barbarians were warriors of true equality. In fact, it wasn't just barbarians, the entire world worked like this. Regardless of who or what an adventurer was, he would face the appropriate consequences for his actions. Speaking of which, the woman was still lying on her stomach, pretending to be unconscious. You're awake. Kill me. She replied immediately. I chose to do this of my own free will. Maybe, responded, wasn't the right word to use. This surprised me a little, to be honest. Even considering his situation, I didn't expect those to be the first words out of his mouth as soon as he woke up. Kylan let out a mocking laugh. It almost seems like she thinks she's part of the Order of the Rose. Regardless of her motivations, her behavior was beyond my expectations. It wasn't as if she was some palace soldier who had been heavily brainwashed. We were dealing with a simple clan member. "Why are you so loyal to the Golden Ghost?" She hesitated at my question. "Like I said, I chose to do this. Why did it have to be like this?" I grumbled, letting out a deep sigh before trying a different angle. "What's his goal?" "Like I said, so what is your goal?" Another hesitation. "Just kill me." "What? Is he holding your family hostage or something?" The woman flinched very slightly. "Huh, I just said that for the sake of it, but is it true?" "What kind of monster is that damn Golden Ghost?" I had no way of knowing. However, what I did know was that the woman in front of me was different from those indoctrinated soldiers. There was a way to extract information from her. "You reacted to the word family. Do you also owe him something? You know that if you die, the debt will be passed on to your family, and then they will die because they can't pay the taxes, right?" The woman's shoulders shook again. That certainly made things a little easier. "I swear on my honor and name as a warrior. If you answer me truthfully, I will help you to the best of my ability. Once we return to the city, we will protect your family. If you wish, I can even accept them as my vassals." The woman remained silent for a long moment, and I just waited, giving her time to think. "Kill me." However, I got the same response again. I didn't understand. With my reputation and fame, didn't it make more sense for her to leave this golden phantom and join me? What the hell did that bastard do to leave her like this? Still, we were lucky. The woman didn't seem used to lying and was the type to let her emotions show. It wasn't exactly easy to control your expression when you were face to face with death. "Is the Golden Ghost still on the island?" Tremor. "Did the Golden Ghost send you to kill us?" No reaction. If that's not the goal, then this is just him watching us." Tremor. "He thought I didn't come here simply to kill the Skull King." Tremor. "If he realized it, it must have been at that time, when I made the offer to grant him first right of entry if he handed over Abmanuric Freed to us. He probably knew for sure at that moment that we hadn't come here for the Skull King. It seems he was very curious about what else we had come for." The woman seemed surprised to hear my deduction, trembling once more before simply closing her eyes in resignation. She was trying to cut off any clues she could give us. "Raven," I called. "Yes. Make sure she doesn't hear us. Let's talk a little." "Okay. 1 second." With that, Raven used magic to block our conversation from reaching her, and we began our discussion. Misha was the first to speak. "I think it's true that she has no intention of hurting us. But we need to find out what she's hiding." I agreed with that. Assassinating a noble was a serious crime, and it would be nearly impossible to keep the information from leaking with over 90 witnesses. Even if they managed to injure us, the Golden Ghost would only be putting a collar on himself with a time bomb waiting to explode. What a wicked man. We have no evidence. Even if we file a case against him, the Golden Ghost will not be punished. Then what do we do with her? It seems she has her own burdens to bear, but we can't just let her go out of pity. The labyrinth isn't such a kind place. That was true. I had no intention of letting her go for free, anyway. Whether it was by coercion or not, there was a very real possibility that she was here to hurt us. That alone gave us all the moral justification we needed to kill her if we wanted to. "I'll borrow this for a second." I took Amelia's dagger and pierced the woman's heart with a single strike, taking her life while she could neither see nor hear anything. "We can undo the soundproofing magic." It was the only mercy I could offer her in the labyrinth. "So," Misha finally spoke. "What do we do now?" I remained silent, my mind still swirling with thoughts. "It's obvious, isn't it? We should go confront him about this," Erwin suggested. "Secretly following another adventurer into the labyrinth is a serious crime that could get you executed." "But do you think he will confess?" If he doesn't confess, we'll make him confess. Noticing that Erwin was more aggressive than usual, Misha put up a cautious counter. Still, wouldn't it be better if we did what we came to do and deal with this later, when we get back to the city? Why, there are 90 of them. It's too dangerous for us to handle alone. That's true. The guild master agreed with Misha. There's also a rumor going around about the Golden Ghost. They say he knows the weaknesses of every member of his clan and uses the people around him as slaves. Even if only half of that is true, this encounter will be different from the clan we encountered on the 5th floor. They'll charge at us as if their lives depend on it. He was probably right. If there was any proof of that, it was the woman herself. I gave her several opportunities to escape her situation, and yet she resisted to the end and refused to give in. Mr. Bear was like that too. Although I had no idea what his situation was, Mr. Bear never asked me for help. If those 90 other people were like him and we tried to confront them, bloodshed would be inevitable, but that's not something I can just ignore until we get back to town. As my concerns grew, Amelia gave her opinion. I'll stay behind and watch them. Huh? I asked, taken by surprise. They don't know we caught this woman yet. They'll just be waiting for her to come back. I'll watch her movements, so you guys can follow and do what you need to do. It may be dangerous. I'm fine. I've got this. Amelia took one of the items we had looted from the woman, number 16. Ebony insignia. When equipped, it significantly increased the wearer's stealth-related abilities. It was the reason why the detection spell at the entrance didn't activate. Not even Beleg noticed that we were being followed. True. With this, Amelia wouldn't be discovered. Under most circumstances. Still, I had a hard time giving my approval. Amelia noticed my hesitation and came closer. To be honest, it doesn't feel bad to have you worrying about me. Then he placed his hand over mine. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. I hesitated. It's okay. Okay then. Without giving me time to say anything else, Amelia let go of my hand and disappeared. I couldn't even hear her footsteps as she left, but I could feel that she was already running out of the cave. I let out a sigh, my eyes fixed on the other side of the hallway where Amelia had left, feeling the eyes of several people on me. Why is everyone looking at me like that? Kylan answered for the entire group. Are you asking because you don't know? I didn't answer. Okay, we don't really mind. But please, only do this when you're alone. It was too much for us. Too much. He gave me a mischievous look. It's okay. Don't worry about understanding now. I felt a little wronged. No, but what did I do? I was just showing how much I cared about my allies. After Amelia left to spy on the Golden Tree clan, we resumed our expedition, starting by leaving the unusual location where we had stopped to capture the rat. Fortunately, the real entrance was close by. Is this the entrance? It doesn't look that different. Leaving the crossroads, we followed another short corridor to a dead end. However, there was something different there. Doesn't it look so different? There are 44 torches in this hallway. Just like the crystal cave on the first floor, the cave on Skull Island changed its structure with each cycle, but one thing remained constant. The entrance to the next stage was always on the path with 44 lit torches along the walls. Still, certain conditions needed to be met before the entrance could be opened. Adnus, go put your hand on the wall. With that, the guild master, who had taken on the very important role during our expedition, walked up to the wall and touched it. In the next instant, a slight tremor ran through the ground and the wall moved to the side. Open black lens bracket. The cursed one has discovered the memories of the end. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A part of the ancient story has been completed. Close black lens bracket. The hidden portal beyond the wall revealed itself. Unlike the dimensional tombstones, which oscillated between various shades of blue, the color of this portal was blood red. Vwong. I controlled my breathing, staring at the scarlet swirl. So in the end, I got here. Even though I was the one who planned all of this and came all the way here, my heart clenched, fighting some inexplicable reaction. Well, there's nothing else to do. We needed to get in. There were 3 rank essences here that my allies needed. Open black lens bracket. You have entered the memories of the end. Close black lens bracket. How many can we get? A sudden curiosity struck me. Agnes, do you happen to know what the Golden Ghost's real name is? You don't know. Would I ask if I knew? You've already exchanged names with him. His name is Bill Ironlad. Right. Well, considering I didn't remember him, that name wasn't the real one. I asked something unnecessary. However, if I remember correctly, he changed his name before. What? Slowly, I asked. What was his original name? I don't know, but that was before he became famous. According to him, however, things started to work out after he changed his name. Seriously. Anyway, I'm sure it was a common name. He said he changed it because he hated sharing it with so many people. My heart started racing. No, a common name. These 3 words made my heart race. Not for a good reason, but for a very bad reason. That's right, confirmed the guild master. Is there a problem? It can't be, right?